Hey guys, this is Alex with ReVampTV. Welcome back. Last week we looked at the difference between iPhone X and Canon 5D Mark III and how they pertain to different applications of photography. We didn't use any third-party apps, we just compared the devices straight out of the box, and what we found was that the Canon 5D Mark III ran circles around the iPhone X when it pertained to photography straight out of the box. But what about video? What if we do download a third-party app such as ProCam, like we'll be using today, and let the camera go past its limits within the original camera app within the phone and just let it do its thing and kind of pair that against the 5D Mark III and the footage that you can get and what are the specs and what are the differences? So we're going to answer that exact question today. Being able to shoot Ultra HD 4K at 60 frames per second is a big deal, especially when it comes to a mobile device. The Canon, on the other hand, only shoots in full HD and only up to 30 frames per second. When it goes to 60, it drops to 720. There is a big difference between those. The 5D does have a more elaborate, powerful sensor, and also the footage that it captures has a higher bit rate, which allows you to do more with it in post-production. But the iPhone X has onboard super slow motion at both 120 FPS and 240 FPS. And you can still shoot full HD in these modes, whereas at 60 frames per second in the Canon, you can't even shoot full HD there. Whether you're using it to shoot your actual content or you have it as an extra device to supplement your main footage, the iPhone X is a pretty fantastic device to have with you. And you're gonna have it with you because it's a phone amongst a million other things, unlike a 5D Mark III or another DSLR that is just serving one purpose for you. There are people that use this phone for professional level work, especially with apps that allow you to manually set all of your settings, such as ProCam like we've been using over here. You can set your ISO and your shutter and your white balance and all that stuff, but even without that, the auto mode on the normal camera mode within the iPhone X is great in and of itself and does a good job at determining the surroundings to adjust the image to something that you can work with. It adjusts to the different lighting scenarios automatically, and with onboard image stabilization and autofocus for video, there is really not a whole lot you have to worry about when you're shooting with the iPhone X. Now let's remember, there are plenty of DSLRs that have come out since the 5D Mark III, even the 5D Mark IV. For some reason, Canon decided to leave autofocus and image stabilization out of the 5D Mark III build. Two things that made the iPhone X extremely convenient to shoot with are absent in a camera that costs over 2.5 times more as the phone does. This obviously isn't an issue for the common professional videographer, but for someone that just wants to pick it up and shoot something, point and shoot, not have to worry about focus or lighting, this just isn't going to cut it for them. As I mentioned before, ProCam and other third-party apps do a great job of taking that camera mode within the iPhone X and pushing it to its true potential. In ProCam, we're able to do things that you could never do on a phone before, such as rack focus, dial in ISO, dial in shutter speed, and really just have control over your image for photo and video, and just be able to see what you're working with and not letting the phone guess what it should be doing as far as lighting and exposure compensation. You're given the opportunity to adjust all the same options you would on a DSLR, all within your phone. And if I remember correctly, I paid about $5 US for that. Where I think DSLRs shine though, on the other hand, is lens selection. Sure, there are mobile lenses and lens attachments that you can get for your phone. There's a ton of them, there's fisheyes, there's wide angles, there's telephotos. But at the end of the day, those lenses aren't engineered to be up to par with your standard L-Glass series from Canon or even something like a Sigma Art lens or something that's gonna give that cinematic feel. Those lenses aren't gonna measure up to that. But at the same time, how often are you gonna be using that to shoot a short film or something like this? There's a different intention for both of these types of devices, and I think just the fact that you can have an attachable lens on your phone is amazing in and of itself. While the lens selection that DSLRs offer, especially from Canon, while those do expand the horizons as far as creative freedom and being able to convey the exact aesthetic that you're going for, it gets really expensive really quickly. Sure, rentals are always an option, but depending on what you're using it for, whether it's a blog or a vlog or a recap video, chances are you're not really going to need much more than the iPhone X and maybe a wide-angle lens that will cost you anywhere from $10 to $20 on Amazon. Brands like Olloclip have created lenses for smartphones that emulate that same effect those really expensive lenses for the DSLRs give, but at a much smaller price, and they fit right in your pocket. While it does have limitations, there are pretty much workarounds for every issue that you would have the iPhone X when it comes to basic photo and video work. And on top of that, it does a million other things aside from being a great camera, and it's always in your pocket. It doesn't get any more convenient than that. What do you think? Do you think cell phones will eventually render DSLRs obsolete? Or is there value in DSLRs that just can't be replaced by something like the iPhone X or something that may come later? Let me know in those comments. Until next time, this is Alex with ReVampTV, and I'll see you in the next one.